Okay, so this week's update. Let's pull up the dashboard, shall we? So, starting off the week, started off strong. Last week we ended off, you know, slowly coming back. We bought a few more accounts. We've got a phase 2. We then got a few accounts down. Then we entered into a trade and managed to make back some hella profit. So we made back about like 750. So we were back into profit. We then took a trade on that account, which was only 4% away from passing. And we ended up losing today. So that account is now down 300. So we're still 1% in profits. We still only have to make 7%, which is only realistically like 2 trades. We've got our phase 2 is still intact. We've not touched it. We've not traded that yet. We're going to run a few more of the phase 1s, then just run all the phase 2s together because it's easier. We've got one account which is 7% in drawdown, 1% which is 4%, another one which is 7%, and then another one which is 8%. One of those ones which is 7% down is the actual funded. We've not traded the funded at all this week. We're just going to run all the challenges, try and get into a better place just because I'm nervous that I'm going to end up making I'm going to have a few losses, which is normal, get losses, and then I'm going to blow my only funded. So I just want to get a bit more of like a security in my head, know that, oh, okay, cool. Well, we took 4 losses in a row, but I've still gotten another phase. I've got like 3 phase 2s, so it's not the end of the world. I know that I can pass at least one of those and I'll be fine. So yeah, that's basically the updates and everything. Nothing too crazy. It's just been challenges this week. We're going to run challenges for all of next week again, and then buy a few more just because May will be ending soon. And then the promo code 10k for 40 will no longer be there. So we're trying to rinse that as much as we can because that's the cheapest part. Otherwise, we've got to go for 5Ks, which doubles the length of the progress. It makes it so much harder. Like, we're currently in the phase, which is the longest part of the journey. As soon as it's like when you start a business, 0 to 10K is the hardest point you'll hit. And then everything after 10K will just slowly come quite quickly and quite easy. Like, everyone says this. You've probably seen it so much online. 0 to 10K is the hardest. It's harder than going from 10K to 100K. So that's basically what we're trying to work on now, is getting our fundeds, past that 0 to 10K point. Not so much in earnings, but just having looking at it in gaining funding. So getting funding, 50K is that's when everything changes. 0 to 50 is that's the hardest part. Once you've got 0 to 50, once you've got 50, run 25s, and then run 50s, and then run 100K, and it will just slowly match. So we're on the 0 point at the minute, and then you start going up, but it's very slowly because obviously you're going to be working. You're not going to have any money coming in from it yet. And if you do, that's great. That just helps cycle it. But trying to get to the 50K point is where 50K funding is where it really starts to change, because that's the point where every 2 weeks you could be earning, 2%. That's £1,000. Completely changes the ball game. So just by getting that, instead of it being £100 for 1%, well, dollars, instead of it being £100 for 1%, it's now 500 from 50K. So it's just building that up. And that's when you'll see noticeable changes where you can slowly cut back hours at work, and then you can start putting more time into this, and then so on and so on. And then eventually you can just quit your job because you're earning more than what you would there, and you'll have enough to cycle into, more challenges still. But I mentioned in the scaling video, the scaling plan video, that explains the best plan you could do to try and gain up the funding. There's no point going in straight for 100Ks or straight for 50Ks. Going straight for 50K would work, but it's expensive unless you're playing it slow. But if you're playing it aggressive and you're trying to get it quick, definitely going for 10Ks, and then go for 25s, then 50s, and then 100. So 5 10Ks, 4 25s, 3 50s, 100. That's max allocation with whatever company you're with. I'd go for ACGs first just because it works so well. But I'm gonna make a video explaining all the different prop firms, which ones we actually rate and suggest, because there's so many out there which are just oh no, they've introduced a new rule just before your payout date. You can't get a payout if you traded between 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. So we'll make a video on that. But that's the update for the week. Not any crazy progress, but it still steps in the right direction. We're at the steady gain, steady incline. That's what that matters. Steady incline. As long as if we're not making any mistakes, not stupidly gambling or, throwing away accounts. Like, I'll go all in on a trade if it's like got 4% left. I'll go all in. Like, yeah, if this account blows, it's gone. But if I hit the TP, then the account's way in profit. So, just that at that point is fine. I'm running it aggressive. I know that I'm happy to lose the account, so that's fine. But if you're not ready, then I wouldn't recommend it. But, the psychology's doing okay. We're slowly making progress, so that's the main thing. But that's it for the week. Anyways, nice updating with you all. Yeah, make sure you like and subscribe.